Inside the Magic, show number 373 for May 27th, 2012.
I am Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, and you are listening to Inside the Magic. Transformers! Of Elysia!
And it is Sunday, May 27th, 2012. This is show 373 of Inside the Magic. And as always, I'm your host, Ricky Briganti. Got a great show packed with Disney and beyond this week. We're reaching out to Universal Studios Hollywood as well to talk a bit about Transformers, as you just heard, and plenty more from my recent trip to California. And all that good stuff. Before we get to it all, let me invite you to visit our website over at InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and plenty more. And if you have any news, tips, or questions or comments or anything you want to tell me, you can always write to me at Ricky at InsideTheMagic.net, or you can call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. Book your Disney cruise vacation with Magical Travel and receive a free shipboard credit. Shipboard credits are good towards merchandise, spa treatments, shore excursions, and other activities. So you're going to want to call Magical Travel today at 866-207-8387 or visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And when you do that, be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And of course, thanks to listeners and viewers like you for your donations, be it a one-time donation or recurring monthly donation or clicking through any of those affiliate links like Amazon.com over on InsideTheMagic.net. Every little bit helps to support the show, and I thank you very much for that. And now, let's get started with our trip around the world. So as I said, we're going to be talking about a lot of California topics this week because I just got back from a very quick 2-day, even less than 2-day trip out there. Specifically, I went out there to attend and enjoy a big grand opening celebration for a new attraction, and it's not quite yet time for Cars Land or Buena Vista Street or any of that at Disneyland. Instead, it was over at Universal Studios Hollywood for the big opening of Transformers The Ride 3D. Be talking much more about that a little bit later in this week's show, so we'll put that on hold for a second. I'll also be talking about a few new things that I noticed and saw for the first time and over at Disneyland as well, as I spent a few hours there throughout the trip. So all of that coming up in just a little bit, but first we'll go through some regular non-grand opening news, beginning out here actually in Florida. We'll be over at the Magic Kingdom, where I just was last night, to check out a few new things that were happening over there, including one that not everybody is entirely excited about, but it is something I definitely wanted to see, and it is over at the Haunted Mansion at the Magic Kingdom. There is a new photo opportunity in the exit crypt area of the Haunted Mansion. It's a kind of a pair of headstones or busts, but you can, if you walk up behind it as a park guest, you can stick your head in there where the heads of the busts normally would be, and when you do that, it makes it look like you are part of the Haunted Mansion crypt area. A lot of people are not happy with the interactive queue that Disney added, several months ago, and this is very much in the same style as that interactive queue. It has an inscription on it that reads, "These stately headstones represent two friends lost by accident. Side by side, their heads repose. Where's the rest? No one knows." And, it's posted just at the exit of the attraction, so you can just walk right by it if you want nothing to do with it. While I was there, I actually saw a number of people stopping and getting their picture taken and smiling, and they really enjoyed being sort of turned into headstones at the Haunted Mansion. So it seems to be a hit. Whether or not fans like it or not, that's another story. But, we'll see if it sticks around. It definitely seems like a sort of a temporary or potentially temporary addition to the Haunted Mansion in a very, very long line of additions to the attraction. We'll see how it keeps going and going over there. And, of course, I was also at the Magic Kingdom because a major part of Magic Kingdom history is going to be closing in just a few days, and I wanted to get a few last rides in on Snow White's Scary Adventures. Its final day of operation at the Magic Kingdom is going to be May 31st, just a few days from now, after which it will be closed as of June 1st forever, and it will be replaced by Princess Fairy Tale Hall, which is going to be the new Princess Meet and Greet location there as part of New Fantasyland, and Disney this week said Princess Fairy Tale Hall is going to debut in late 2013. It will have multiple rooms in which you can meet the princesses. When you walk in, there's going to be a big gallery of sorts where you see lots of some paintings and stone walls and feel like you're entering in the castle. Of course, there's going to be the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train coaster that is currently under construction as part of New Fantasyland, so Snow White is not going away completely. This particular ride, Snow White's Scary Adventures, is disappearing from the Magic Kingdom in just a few days, but Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs will be sticking around with an all-new ride coming up in the next couple of years. So check back to InsideTheMagic.net in the coming days. Of course, I made sure to capture as much as I possibly could of Snow White's Scary Adventures, and I'll be posting plenty more about the attraction to enable everybody to remember it by as it disappears this week. And then on the very same day, that is Snow White's Scary Adventures' last day, May 31st, is going to be the official first day for Disney's Art of Animation Resort, which is having its grand opening on May 31st in the morning. It's only going to be the Finding Nemo wing for now. The rest of the wings, the Cars and Little Mermaid and the Lion King, will be opening periodically over the next few months, wrapping up in September, the last one being the Little Mermaid. Of course, I've already posted a very extensive preview of the Art of Animation Resort over at InsideTheMagic.net from when I had a chance to tour it a couple of weeks ago, and then I'll be back for the grand opening this week, and probably on next week's show I'll be talking much, much more about it all now that it will be officially open, so stay tuned for that. But if you do want to see a preview of it all, head to InsideTheMagic.net and check our YouTube channel as well. And if you are excited about Disney Pixar's upcoming movie Brave, and you liked the Merida meet and greet that's been put into the Magic Kingdom, well, there's even more Brave coming to Walt Disney World, announced this week for Epcot from June 1st through July 8th, so a little over a month, 5 weeks or so. There's going to be something called the Brave Highland Games Tournament. It's designed for kids, really, and it's going to be a playground plus games like mini caber toss, cake toss, haggis flip, and archery. And there's also going to be, this is interesting, free enhanced wireless, as Disney is putting it in the area with the goal of having parents and be able to take pictures of their kids playing around in this area and immediately post them to Twitter and Facebook. And, of course, you could just go there and use the internet. This is not the first time Disney has said that internet access would be coming to Epcot. Of course, it didn't actually happen last time. They had said there was going to be sort of a recharge station in the Odyssey, former Odyssey restaurant, and that never actually opened, I don't believe. So now a little bit of free wireless is going to be, free Wi-Fi is going to be available in the park, and who knows, this could be the future of Disney's parks, having Wi-Fi all over. The area, the Highland Games Tournament, is going to be open at Epcot June 1st to July 8th, as I said, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. And back over to the Magic Kingdom. Probably should have mentioned this just a minute ago. I was talking about that park, but I was there for another reason last night as well, and that was to enjoy and see and, of course, capture the latest update to The Magic, The Memories, and You, which is the projection show that debuted, gosh, it's been about a year and a half now since it first debuted on Cinderella Castle. Disney has updated it periodically with new scenes, and the latest version of the show features summer editions, including turning Cinderella castle into a sand castle, as well as some familiar characters from The Little Mermaid and The Lion King, and a very, very, very brief appearance by Phineas and Ferb at the beginning, and even a bit of Goofy as well. And I want to share that with you right now, so let's turn down the music here in the background, and we'll hop on over to the Magic Kingdom. It's about a 2-minute segment that has been included in the grander show. I'm not going to play the whole show for you here, but I will feature just this new summer addition to the Magic, the Memories. So there you have it, the summer version, or at least the summer sequence of the Magic, the Memories, and You, with a little bit of Finding Nemo sequels, seagulls worked in there at the end. What I found most interesting about this update to the Magic, the Memories, and You was in the Little Mermaid sequence. The whole castle looked like it became filled with water, or covered in flowing water, and a big Ariel, the Little Mermaid, of course, projection was up on one of its, on the biggest turret of the castle, and it was just this very short clip of Ariel dancing around from the under the sea scene from the Little Mermaid film, just looped back and forth. It's very obvious that it's a very short clip, looped back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. And what's most interesting about that particular moment is that it's exactly the moment that has been changed in the Finding Nemo ride out in California Adventure. That is, the hairstyle that everybody was saying looked so silly on Ariel because they called it ice cream hair or soft serve hair or even Dole Whip hair, that it was swirling up around her head. Nobody understood what it was. That very brief moment from the film, that is a recognizable moment, is now featured in the Castle projection show and also on It's a Small World, the version of the Magic, the Memories, and You out in California. I found that to be very interesting that Disney chose to use that particular moment in the new projection show just as they remove that hairstyle from the Little Mermaid ride. So kind of interesting there. Anyway, that is continuing. Of course, the Magic, Memories, and You out here in Florida takes place on Cinderella Castle just before and just after the Wishes fireworks show every night. Also over at the Magic Kingdom, just this weekend, Big Thunder Mountain has reopened. It was closed for a while for refurbishment, and it did reopen. I think it officially reopens tomorrow, May 28th, and not a whole lot has changed there. I guess the queue has been improved. There's some better ventilation, maybe even some air conditioning in there. It's not enclosed, but it's supposed to keep you a little cooler in there. And then there seems to be an area that's still walled off that may be home to some interactive elements sometime in the future, but those are not available just yet, so we'll have to watch and wait and see if Thunder Mountain is indeed getting any kind of interactive queue anything. Turning away from Disney here for a moment, but sticking with Central Florida, over at Legoland, Florida this week, a new attraction has opened up there. It is Legoland, Florida's water park. And you think water park, you think this massive area that is its own park, but really this water park is a water park attraction, as they put it. It's part of the grander scheme of what Legoland, Florida is. It has a wave pool and some kiddie areas, and it's really a water park designed for children, as is much of Legoland, Florida. Of course, if you're a Lego fan, then it's Legos, and that's a lot of fun. So that's open now. And also going on in Orlando this weekend, it's wrapping up today as I am recording this show, is this year's Spooky Empire Mayhem over on International Drive. I always enjoy going over to that convention and seeing the various celebrities and special exhibits and merchandise that they have on display there. I had a chance to very briefly meet Linda Hamilton there, which was very cool. Of course, Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor from the Terminator series, and many, many more celebrities there as well. The coolest part I found was a private collection of movie monsters, classic horror monsters, Dracula, Frankenstein, etc. And they also had a life-size zombie Barbossa and Captain Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean, which were pretty cool. Apparently, all that's part of a local private collection. Good to see that. So anyway, I'll be posting more from the Spooky Empire Mayhem event over at InsideTheMagic.net later this week. All right, let's turn to California now, out to Disneyland, where this weekend was the soft opening, I guess, soft performance of the Mad Tea Party, the replacement for Electronica in the Hollywood Pictures backlot, or is it Hollywoodland now? I don't know if it has officially changed over to that. But regardless, I don't have anything to share from Mad Tea Party quite yet, because I'm going to wait until I go back out there in just a couple of weeks for the official opening of it. I'll let everything sort of work its way into being well rehearsed and ready to go. And I've seen a little bit online about what the Mad Tea Party and the band that's playing there, the live Tea Party band, etc. And I can say I'm not entirely a fan of it all as I've seen it so far, but I do want to reserve judgment until I see it in person for the first time in a couple of weeks. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll be talking more about that then. Of course, there is plenty of it online and YouTube, etc. If you want to go search it out and find it, then maybe you will enjoy it more than I have so far. Also at Disneyland, I think I may have mentioned this on a recent show, but it's worth mentioning again. Annual pass holder early entry registration is available from June 18th to September 13th. Annual pass holders for the Disneyland Resort can get into Disneyland Park or Disney California Adventure 1 hour before regular park opening. You have to register. You can register online at the Disneyland website, the annual pass holder website, for up to 2 days, one for each park. So it's a good way to hit up Cars Land without quite as many people that will be there once it opens on June 15th. I'm sure every day at California Adventure this summer is going to be incredibly crowded. And something theme park related, not necessarily directly associated with any particular park, but I'm a big fan of Dippin Dots, the ice cream from the future, as it is. And I recently, a few months ago, I guess, Dippin Dots had announced they were bankrupt, although not going out of business. Well, investors from Oklahoma City have purchased the Dippin Dots company for $12.7 million. Of course, Dippin Dots are popular in many, many theme parks and many other locations all over, and apparently they're going to be expanding now that they've been purchased from about 1,600 locations currently to up to 2,000 locations, and they're going to be growing internationally as well. All right, back to the topic of Disney, but away from the parks and over to Disney Cruise Line, where a milestone happened this week up in New York. The Disney Magic ship has arrived in New York Harbor. It was sporting the world's largest bumper sticker on the back of the ship at 50 feet long by 11 feet wide as it pulled into New York, and Disney's first ever consumer sailings out of Manhattan are now going on. There's going to be 20 cruises out of New York. And speaking of Disney Cruise Line, here's some news that I don't think Disney is particularly happy about. This has been making its way around the internet this week. It's a rather, it's a sad story, but it's an amusing story at the same time. Apparently, a Disney Cruise Line worker on the Disney Wonder somehow stumbled into possession of a guest's iPhone on the ship. allegedly stole it. Couldn't tell you for sure one way or the other, but apparently in recent weeks, the employee, the cast member, if you will, on Disney Cruise Line has been taking pictures using that iPhone, and those pictures have been showing up automatically uploaded to the iCloud account of the owner of the iPhone. Naturally, the owner quickly identified who had her phone, and Disney Cruise Line is working on, making appropriate maneuvers on what to do about this particular employee. The owner of the phone has amusingly posted the pictures on Facebook with some very, very entertaining captions to each one. Of course, it's a terrible thing if this Disney employee did indeed steal the phone, but you never know. Maybe he just found it. Could be possible, I suppose. So I can't say one way or the other, but regardless, it's worth seeking out those pictures because it is very, very entertaining. So back to the topic of Brave. Of course, many are excited about that film coming out in just a few weeks. June 22nd, I believe, is the date that'll be starting up. And Adventures by Disney this week is launching its first ever Pixar-inspired itinerary, inspired by Brave. It's called Scotland, a Brave Adventure. Of course, it is an adventure to Scotland for 9 days, 8 nights. It includes stops at Edinburgh, the Isle of Skye, the Isle of Lewis and Inverness. It goes to areas of Scotland that inspired various parts of Brave. Includes a look at Highland games, Celtic music and dance, horseback riding, tapestry making, and much, much more. And in the world of Disney movies, Walt Disney Animation announced this week that the very first trailer, the full trailer for Wreck-It Ralph, which comes out in November, the trailer is going to come out on June 6th. I'm sure it'll be online and many other locations as well. So I'll be sure to link to that as soon as we see it. So look for a Wreck-It Ralph trailer June 6th. And with the recent Mirror movie related to Snow White that hit theaters, and Snow White and the Huntsman coming out very soon from Universal, Disney has decided to cancel their sort of retelling of Snow White that they've had in the works for quite a while. It was going to be called Order of the Seven, of course referring to the Seven Dwarfs, and it was going to be a sort of different take on the Snow White tale, but those two movies are already out there. Mirror didn't do so hot. Seems like people are more excited about Snow White and the Huntsman, but Disney didn't have to chime in with same sort of thing as everybody else, so that movie is not happening. And finally, here's something I meant to mention on last week's show, but misfiled it, and it didn't show up as intended. Last week, of course, we were talking about Star Wars Weekends and Star Tours and the anniversary of that, and we weren't the only ones. Our buddies over at the Season Pass Podcast at seasonpasspodcast.com posted their 200th episode. Great milestone for them there, and they have it's a really good behind-the-scenes look at Star Tours The Adventures Continue. They talked to Anthony Daniels, of course, voice of C-3PO, Tom Fitzgerald, and from Imagineering, and others as well. So if you want even more Star Tours fun, be sure to listen to their episode. And while I was out at the Transformers opening, I actually sat down with the Season Pass folks and talked about that attraction with them as well. I'm sure that's going to show up on a podcast sometime soon, and I'll make a mention when that shows up as well. So that's it for your news from around the world this week. And here's a tip that may be common knowledge for those of you who go to the parks quite frequently, but it's definitely a good tip nonetheless. Melody writes in and says, I'm a longtime Disney goer, and I've discovered many tips over the years, and one of the most effective and most often overlooked is the direction you begin your day with. Every time I go to the parks and arrive earlier in the morning, I turn left rather than right. It's the natural instinct of Western culture to turn right, even if you're not right-handed, and if you arrive before 11 a.m., it's always good to make the first left you can. Instead, this works best in the Magic Kingdom by starting your day at Adventureland and ending it in Tomorrowland. Also provides a great view of Tomorrowland at night. Doesn't quite work as well as the other parks as they're not as circular at the Magic Kingdom. I found this is helpful in almost all circular parks, Islands of Adventure included. Melody, definitely a great tip. When I used to make vacations here to Orlando before I moved here, I exactly did just that. I would make sure to, I would always, of course, get there as early as I could, and I would hit left side of the park before the right side, even though I really love Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland and wanted to go there, everybody, the crowd trends, as you said, it's to go right and work your way around, sort of counterclockwise, but if you go left instead, you're sort of working against the crowd and you'll end up with some shorter lines in the morning. Of course, you can always make a beeline straight to Fantasyland and knock those out as well before all the kids show up there. But yeah, there it is. Everybody else, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. So, as I've said a few times now in this week's show, I did make a trip out to California this week, a very, very brief trip, and I want to talk just a little bit about some of the new things that I spotted while I was there. First up, I want to mention I actually stayed somewhere new as far as a hotel. Normally, I stay on Disneyland property, which is wonderful. I love the hotels there. Disneyland Hotel, since the renovation, has been fantastic. The Grand Californian is always an amazing hotel to stay at, although it is, a little bit expensive. In fact, all the hotels on Disneyland property are rather expensive. They are several $100s a night often, and I've been getting an increasingly large number of emails lately from all of you out there asking me, where can I stay when I go to Disneyland that's not going to cost an arm and a leg, that's not going to be so expensive, but still be a good place to stay? So I wanted to make a point this time for my couple of nights. I was just out there to stay somewhere else and be able to, talk a little bit about it and review a different hotel. So I reached out to the Red Lion Hotel, which is on the corner of Harbor Boulevard and Catella, not too far from Disneyland. It was definitely walking distance. It took me about 10-15 minutes to walk from the time I left my room and the time I actually got into the park. So not too bad. You're basically walking the length of Disney California Adventure, and there you are in the Esplanade. So pretty good there. I found it to be rather comfortable. It was clearly a recently renovated hotel. The beds were comfy, pillows were comfy, it was quiet, air conditioning worked, the lobby was nice. I had absolutely no problem with it, and generally the price for this Red Lion Hotel is, $70, $80, $90 a night, which is much, much cheaper than anything you'll find at the Disneyland on-property hotels. My only complaint with this hotel was that the breakfast downstairs was not good at all. I wouldn't recommend it whatsoever. But other than that, I did enjoy it, and it was definitely a much less expensive option. I should mention that Red Lion did supply the room for me. I did not pay for it, but that was because I would be talking about it for you here. And I'll also be posting a full review with more photos, lots of photos and all that kind of thing over at InsideTheMagic.net very soon. But if you are looking for somewhere, as I said, many have written to me about this topic, and I would say the Red Lion Hotel is a good option. In the future, as I go out to Disneyland more and more, I will likely try a few other hotels up and down Harbor Boulevard and around the area just to get a good sampling of what they are all like. So I can, make some good recommendations, but this was a good start. So, of course, I was out there not just to sit in the hotel all the time, but I was there to, Transformers, which I'll be talking about in a few minutes. But at Disneyland, of course, I wanted to see everything that has been popping up as new and different since I was last there in January. And it just so happened that while I was there, Disney decided to bring down the walls around the Carthay Circle Theater, the big building that is at the end of Buena Vista Street at Disney California Adventure. It's been under construction for so very, very long now, and it was wonderful to see to be there on the very first day when the construction walls that surrounded it did indeed come down. I didn't get to go inside of it yet, unfortunately. That's not opening till June 15th, but it'll have a lounge, it'll have an archives exhibit, a restaurant, and of course the exclusive 1901 Club. But walking around the outside, there was plenty of details to see and enjoy. There's a big marquee above it. Of course, the Carthay Circle Theater, the real one that used to be in Hollywood before it was demolished and many years ago, is where Walt Disney premiered Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs so many years ago, decades and decades ago, and that is sort of the inspiration for this Carthay Circle Theater in the park and the restaurant, etc. It's basically putting you there on Snow White premiere night, and as such, the marquee outside reads Carthay Circle Premiere Cuisine, emphasizing that it is indeed a restaurant, not just a theater look, but it is a restaurant inside. Also, next to the theater is a plaque which illustrates the exactly what I just said. It says, "At this theater on the night of December 21st, 1937, Walt Disney introduced the world to the first full-color feature-length animated motion picture, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs." the rest, as they say, is history. So that quickly tells everybody exactly what the Carthay Circle history is all about and what to expect with the theme around the whole restaurant. Right next door to or next to the plaque is also a mock ticket window, though you can't, of course, actually buy tickets there. And the cast member costumes have now been shown off for those who will be serving inside. And those were there's just a couple of cast members standing out in front of the theater until it opens, or the restaurant until it opens a few weeks from now. Very swanky looking costumes with bow ties and sort of velvety looking jackets, and really looks like a nice Hollywood theater. Sort of motif. It's going to be variations of that for the servers inside, etc. Very beige and brown and gold, and I kind of like it. I think they look good. In addition, the cast members were also handing out these business cards of sorts that say opening day June 15th for reservations. Call 714-781-3463 for Carthay Circle Restaurant. A good little collectible there. And, of course, encouraging everybody to make a reservation for the restaurant. Also posted out front are the lunch and dinner menus. If you want to read through those and check out the prices, head on over to InsideTheMagic.net, and you can see more photos of the Carthay Circle Theater there as well. Now, just one day after I left, unfortunately, even more walls came down around the Carthay Circle Theater in the park, revealing the new fountain that is just out front. So I didn't get to see that in person. Of course, Disney posted some photos and some video online as well, and that looks really spectacular. The whole area is shaping up very, very nicely, and I'm really excited to see it all open up next month. I also noticed nearby, just outside the Carthay Circle Theater, were the first look at Buena Vista Street trash cans, which, that's a big thing at Disney, the themed trash cans. Of course, they say keep Buena Vista Street beautiful. Pretty simple trash can design, but I know a lot of you out there are fans of those themed trash cans around Disney. Stepping outside of Disney California Adventure into the Esplanade between that park and Disneyland, it's pretty much done out there. The view of what looking into Disney California Adventure is really taking shape. It no longer looks anything like what California Adventure used to look like, with the big California letters and the postcard motif, etc. And now it's the Pan-Pacific Auditorium theme, very similar to Disney's Hollywood Studios. But you can see into a bit into Buena Vista Street, with those buildings towering up over the entrance turnstiles, as well as in the distance, right smack center, is the very tippy top of the peak of Carthay Circle Theater that you can see all the way out from the Esplanade. So it's clearly drawing you in. The Carthay Circle Theater is indeed the weenie, as Disney likes to call it, drawing your eyes, drawing your attention down the street and into the park, and then you can fan out from there. Of course, it's all going to make its grand debut on June 15th, just a few weeks from now. That's Buena Vista Street, Carthay Circle Theater, Cars Land, and it all wraps up a 5-year improvement project for Disney California Adventure. Very, very exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of that soon. But that is most definitely not the only new thing that I saw while I was out there. Of course, while I was in the park, I had to go over to the Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure to see in person for myself something that I just mentioned earlier in the show, and that was the updates to the attraction that have come in the form of the new projections that have replaced the old sort of 3D CG projections near the beginning of the ride and toward the end of the ride, with Ariel swimming next to Flounder, and then later in the ride, her transformation from a mermaid into having legs. Both of them look much, much better now. The 2D animation style very much mirrors what it looked like in the actual Little Mermaid film, and I think it looks much better. I think it's still CG, and they just cel-shaded it to look like 2D animation. I don't think they actually went back and redrew it as a hand-drawn cel animation, but it does look very, very good. It matches the original much, much better than the old, when the ride debuted, what it looked like there. Of course, the other update to the ride is the new hairstyle that Ariel now sports in the Under the Sea scene. I had no problem with the other hairstyle, the swirly Dole Whip soft serve hairstyle, as many have called it. The new one I'm really not a fan of. I think it looks kind of silly. It looks like a sort of ponytail swoopy thing that's bouncing around as she's dancing, and it just moves unnaturally, whereas the other one kind of fit into the scene quite a bit better. I don't know. I think a lot of people like the new one better than the old one. I personally like the old one better than the new one, but really when it comes down to it, I don't really care either way. It's a fun ride that I enjoy for the most part on both versions, and I'm sure we're going to get this version of it when it comes out to Florida at the new Fantasyland in the coming years, so we can look forward to that. Now, while I was in California Adventure, I also peeked into Cars Land and wanted to really take a good look at night at all the wonderful, wonderful neon that is visible within Cars Land now, and I'm really, really excited after seeing this to see it all once it all, comes together in just a couple of weeks. Officially opens on June 15th. The area Radiator Springs looks fantastic at night, all lit up, and just neon glowing signs for Flo's V8 Cafe and the Cozy Cone Motel and Sarge's Surplus Hut and the City Hall area, and of course the mountain range in the back. I wasn't able to go inside yet because it is not open, so I just kind of peeked from beyond the construction walls, and it just really looks phenomenal. While I was there, they were testing Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. Cast members were there in costume, kind of running through the spiels, and I could hear Mater singing from a distance, which is going to be rather loud, and I think it's going to change the atmosphere around there quite a bit. So I'm definitely looking forward. I'm not the biggest Cars fan in the world, but I am looking forward to Cars Land. I think it's going to be a wonderfully immersive and beautiful area of the park, especially at night. That's going to be the best time to go and visit that part of the park. Again, June 15th, the big opening date. Of course, I'll be out there for the big media event the days prior to that, starting on the 13th and then the 14th, and then it all grand opens on the 15th. Now, stepping outside of the park, I had a chance to walk around downtown Disney a little bit, and I stopped by the recently updated Lego store out there and check out the new big Lego sculptures, very similar to what we have out here in Florida, downtown Disney, when they updated our store as well, although I think the Lego sculptures out there's a few more of them, and I think they look even nicer than the ones out here in Florida do. They're better lit. I think they're a little bit bigger, or at least better placed, and just for the most part, I think they look very, very good. Either way, they're good on both coasts. I have no arguments whatsoever with adding Lego sculptures. Now, I went to Disneyland Park as well to check out a few things and ride some rides there. And one of the new elements that I saw while in that park was the updated Matterhorn bobsleds. Of course, that attraction is not open yet. Again, June 15th, or really June 14th, I think, is when Matterhorn bobsleds reopens. It's been closed since January for refurbishment, and they repainted it to look more like it did when it opened, and more like the real mountain exists over in Europe and Switzerland, etc. But also, they've added this really vibrant blue lighting on the waterfalls coming off the mountain, and I'm not sure I really am a fan of the blue lighting. I think it kind of clashes with the rest of the natural-looking mountain, but Disney seems to have a big thing for vibrant LED lighting lately. They put it on, of course, World of Color has lots of vibrant colors. Dumbo out here in Storybook Circus has vibrant colors, and now the Matterhorn has vibrant blue lighting as well. So who knows if that's going to stick around, if they're going to change it. They've still got a couple of weeks to play with it before it is officially reopened. The other changes, of course, going on at the Matterhorn will be individual seats in the new ride vehicles instead of sitting in people's laps, and then now they're going to have just sort of that better seating arrangement. Anyway, moving on from there, something I was not anticipating going out to this trip. Disneyland was closing at 10 p.m. each night I was there, and that's because it was Grad Nite. And I have never experienced a Grad Nite phenomenon out at Disneyland. It's been going on for decades, and it just so happened that, happens on multiple nights. And it was certainly an experience. I went to Grad Nite when I was a high school senior out here in Florida, and it was, an after-hours event that I enjoyed at the Magic Kingdom. At Disneyland, however, it sort of spills over into the end of the day of regular park hours and then continues until 3 a.m. for those who are there as high school seniors with their wristbands and all all of that. And Disney did a good job separating the crowds one from another, those who have wristbands and those who, are supposed to be there for Grad Nite and those who are just day guests and that they need to get out of the park and, at least get to Main Street. But what I found during that transition process, it was very, very odd. They were roping off various areas of the park to sort of get the crowds under control and get the day guests out as the Grad Nite guests moved in. And high school seniors are a loud, rowdy group. I mean, that comes as no surprise, I'm sure, but it's just sort of a shock to be sitting, I was sitting in New Orleans Square enjoying a bread bowl of clam chowder, as I do every time I go to Disneyland, and right at 10 o'clock, the announcement comes on, switching from daytime to Grad Nite, and right at that moment, right as the clock strikes 10, suddenly the dance music comes on, and everybody's screaming and hooting and hollering and cheering, and I don't want to sound like an old geezer or anything. I have no problem with loud music. I have no problem with having fun. It was just that transition there was odd. It was surprising to have the nice regular atmosphere of New Orleans Square suddenly jarringly be thrust into a dance environment for Grad Nite. Actually, I want to play a little bit of audio here for you as I hung around and finished up my meal and slowly walked out of New Orleans Square. Here is a bit of what Grad Nite at the beginning of Grad Nite at Disneyland sounded like. And this is binaural audio if you care to put on your headphones and really be immersed into the Grad Nite experience. This is in New Orleans Square. Now, so as you heard, that was my cue to leave, not only for the, hey, grads message and everybody screaming and having fun till 3 a.m., but of course they were checking wristbands and wanted everybody to get out. That was not part of Grad Nite. So yeah, Grad Nite is great. It's fun. I wish they still had it out here in Florida because I really enjoyed my time there. It's a great fun event for high school seniors to have that extra time just to themselves in Disneyland after hours. Just that weird transition between day guests and Grad Nite is just like, it's like, get me out of here. Anyway, so that's all the new things that I saw at Disneyland. Of course, there's many, many more things to come, as I'll be back out there in just a couple of weeks to cover the opening of Cars Land and Buena Vista Street and Carthay Circle Theater and the Matterhorn and everything else that is wrapping up that 5-year billion-dollar-plus improvement project of the whole resort. Really, really looking forward to it. Scheduling some great interviews that I'll be sharing, as well as, of course, all the coverage of everything else. So stay tuned to enjoy all of that in the coming weeks. Now, before we dive into Transformers, the Ride 3D, I want to put in a quick word about Theme Park Connection. If you are looking to purchase some Disney collectibles, rare ones, unique ones, or even some common ones, and you want a good place to get them, Theme Park Connection is the place to do it. They have a physical store out here in the Orlando area. It's in Winter Garden, Florida, about 15, 20 minutes north of the Magic Kingdom, and it's a big warehouse just filled with props and costumes and signs and snow globes and pins and all this stuff, anything you can imagine from Disney, and even even beyond what you can imagine is there. Of course, you can also check out their eBay store. ThemeParkConnection.com is where you can find directions to go to their physical store hours, all that information, as well as links to their store online to where you can purchase items. And if you have Disney items that you want to unload and get some cash for, you can bring those to their physical location as well, and they will give you cash on the spot, or at least they'll make an offer, and then you can decide whether or not it's what you want to take. So check it out over at ThemeParkConnection.com. And now I do want to talk about Transformers The Ride 3D. Just a few days ago, early in the morning on May 24th, 2012, of course, was the grand opening of this new high-tech attraction at Universal Studios Hollywood, which is located, I would love to say it's located about 30 minutes away from the Disneyland area, the Anaheim area, but it's a battle to get there with traffic out in California. I hate California traffic. With no traffic on the highways, it'd be about 30, 45 minutes away. It took me 2 hours to get there in the morning and 2 hours to get back to Anaheim at the end of the day. So if you're planning on going to Universal and experiencing this excellent new attraction, I just want you to be warned that traffic in the morning and in the afternoon, and really any time in California, is horrendous. I was not happy about driving 4 hours round trip. But with that said, it was well worth the trip out to California and the drive, because Transformers The Ride 3D is an absolutely phenomenal ride. It may not be the greatest name for a ride, kind of ordinary, Transformers The Ride 3D, but it's descriptive. It tells you what it is, and this attraction builds upon the technology that was used to create the Spider-Man attraction, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, over at Islands of Adventure out here in Orlando, but it builds upon that and is just many times more impressive. I'm, of course, am a big Transformers fan to begin with, so that helps. But this attraction is incredibly immersive with these wraparound, very tall screens. As you're moving through, you step into a ride vehicle that they describe as essentially a flight simulator on a track, so it has complete freedom of motion as you're moving around physically through the space from scene to scene to scene, and you are put in front of these giant 3D screens, of course wearing 3D glasses, and it's just a seamless adventure through what I would call the best 3D that I have seen in really any attraction. It is one heck of a ride, seeing these life-size Transformers, highly detailed, being projected in 3D. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about the ride itself and all of that in a minute. Prior to its grand opening, however, of course, I was there for the actual grand opening celebration, which included, they rolled out the red carpet, and it was right there in the it's in the lower lot area of Universal Studios Hollywood, which is, the park is split up very oddly, because of course this is the real Universal Studios in California, the original real movie studio, and they've inserted the theme park in there over the years, and as such there's not, it's sort of a very hilly area, and it's a tough area to build on, so they've had to sort of create this upper lot area and this lower lot area. We go through all these escalators to get there. So down in the lower lot, in the former location of the Backdraft attraction, which nobody cares about Backdraft anymore, that movie from years and years ago, that's where they rolled out the red carpet for lots of celebrity arrivals, and I had a chance to do a few interviews there on the red carpet. I didn't have a chance to interview the biggest celebrity that was there, although I did see him walk by me at a rather rapid pace. Of course, that was Steven Spielberg, who was a producer of the Transformers films, and those are the films, the Michael Bay directed films, that this attraction is based on. It's not the old G1 Transformers, the old cartoon that was on TV, or any other incarnation. It is the Michael Bay version of the Transformers, though fortunately a lot of the sort of immature humor that's in Michael Bay's films did not find its way into this attraction. But anyway, back to the red carpet. The coolest part, other than seeing Steven Spielberg walk by, was definitely the walk around Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, huge characters that were there. Now, of course, they're not actual Transformer size, because they would be like 40 feet tall if that were the case, but they were, maybe 15 feet tall, and certainly towering over everybody, and definitely very, very impressive as they walked up and down the red carpet and posed for pictures and with celebrities, and just generally entertained everybody. Also there was being served Liquid Energon, which was a fruity sort of orange, maybe tangerine soda drink that they are selling in the park. I had a chance to sample that. It was pretty tasty. I mean, it's a soda. How tasty can a soda really be? But it was good. It was refreshing. It was cold, and it was actually a rather hot day on the red carpet with so many people packed into a small area. I could not believe the amount of media that Universal Studios Hollywood invited to be there for this opening. Very, very impressive. So now I actually want to bring you to the red carpet here for a few interviews related to the ride before I talk more about the ride itself. While standing there, I had a chance to talk to several of the voice actors who lent their voices to this new Transformers attraction. They are Dustin Layton, who's the voice of Evac, who's a new Autobot. He is actually the ride vehicle that you step into. You ride in a Transformer, in an Autobot in this attraction, and of course it is voiced, and so Dustin Layton is the voice of that new character, a new character to the Transformers universe. I also had a chance, very, very briefly, it was at the very end of the red carpet. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time by the time he got down to me to ask him more questions. I got one question to ask the legendary voice actor Frank Welker, who's the voice of Megatron and has done endless voices over the past several decades. He was the voice of Abu, from Aladdin. He was the voice of, I can just go on and on. I mean, literally, just look him up on IMDb, and you'll see the massive list of credits Frank Welker has. So anyway, I'll have an interview with him coming up here as well, right after Dustin. And then at the very tail end of what I'll play for you now, you'll hear just a quick clip from the same voice that you heard at the top of the show, Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, who unfortunately I did not have a chance to talk to again, but I had an interview with him a couple of years ago here on the show, so you can always go back to that. Anyway, so let's hop over to Universal Studios Hollywood now on the red carpet prior to me riding Transformers The Ride 3D to talk to the voice actors from the attraction. What did you feel about voicing a new Autobot in the Transformers universe for this ride?
Oh, I mean, it feels fantastic. You know, it's like a dream come true when you're a kid and you watch the Transformers and you get older and you get this audition and you think, like, maybe I could be an Autobot. And then when you become the Autobot, you develop it and you develop the character in the sense of the experience for the viewer. It feels fantastic to be part of something that's positive, especially in today's world, and to be part of something that you've always wanted to be part of.
It's Devastator!
Do you think Evac's going to be embraced by the Transformer fan base?
I hope so.
And what's your favorite moment in the ride, whether it stars yourself or another Transformer?
You know, this is my first day actually being on the ride and experience the whole thing together. But one of my favorite moments is falling from the building. And that experience of, letting out that reaction, and I think we've got wind and we've got a couple different things happening, so we'll see how it goes.
Been a big fan of yours since your days early as Dr. Claw, and yes. From there on, what do you think over the whole course of your career, whether it's Megatron, Dr. Claw, or anything else, how do you kind of move through all of those voices to become such a voice acting legend that you are?
Well, that's very kind of you to say, and it's kind for you to watch also. I've been very fortunate in my career and started working in college, and it just sort of never stopped. So I got very, very lucky, and fortunately animation took off in the middle of my career. So, there was a lot of product to do, and it was like a renaissance in animation. It's been fantastic. But now, being a voice in a ride is sort of like the epitome. So it's like being in voice heaven.
Great. It's good to have you back as Megatron as well.
Escape Megatron. Surrender or perish. Hey guys! Roll out!
So, there we have it. A few interviews on the red carpet of the Transformers The Ride 3D grand opening. If you want to see more of red carpet festivities, I've posted some photos over at InsideTheMagic.net, and I'll be featuring more on our YouTube channel as well. I've already put up a video of the Optimus Prime and Bumblebee characters walking around on the red carpet as well. Of course, following that, there was even more excitement to be found. There was the actual grand opening of the attraction itself, and Universal Studios Hollywood certainly did not disappoint with that. They brought out from the Transformers films General Morshower, who was with Nest. Nest soldiers were there as well, and they opened with a message from Michael Bay, director of the films, on screen. He was not there in person, and he was actually on location in Miami shooting his next film, so he didn't show up for the opening. So after Michael Bay said a few things about it, then the real fun opening moment happened when Morshower, up on stage at the Nest facility where the ride takes place, was there to enlist everybody's help in protecting the Allspark, the incredibly important item from the films that basically gives life to the Transformers. Of course, Megatron wants to get a hold of the Allspark, and he broke into the transmission, and it was up to Morshower to enlist the help of a few Autobots to protect that Allspark and prevent it from being stolen. So I want to take you over to that opening moment now, a few minutes into, just after Michael Bay got finished speaking, and just check out the adventure and excitement that ensued on the streets of Universal Studios Hollywood.
Well, what do you say, recruits? Are you ready to kick the tires and light the fires? It's time to bring the Allspark to its new home. Secure the perimeter. The Allspark has been in the protection of two of the toughest freedom fighters I have ever met. They have saved this planet more times, more times than you would like to know. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bumblebee and Optimus Prime.
General, good morning. Gathered recruits, I welcome you all to our battle against Megatron and the Decepticons. It will be an honor to fight alongside you.
Optimus, is everything in place to deliver the Allspark?
Yes, General. We await your command.
Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments, our facility will be fully operational. Once we receive the Allspark and bring our base online, we will be ready to take on Megatron, that son of a...
Foolish humans. Enough with this charade. The Allspark belongs to me, Megatron. Decepticons, transform and rise up. The battle for Earth begins now.
General, Decepticons closing. We're under attack.
Optimus, the time is now. You have a go.
Roll the Allspark.
Yes, teams, secure the area and hold your position. Protect the recruits. Protect them. Open the hatch right now. Hurry, men, hurry. Careful with the Allspark. Once the Allspark is locked in, it's over.
Too late, General. Goodbye, Optimus Prime. Not today, Megatron.
It's working.
No!
Transformers The Ride 3D is now officially open.
very, very cool opening ceremony there indeed. I mean, it felt like standing there on the set of a Transformers film as Optimus Prime in truck form, led out by Bumblebee in his yellow Camaro form, or Mustang. Is it Mustang or Camaro? I don't know. I'm not a car person, clearly. Regardless of which one it is, came flying around the corner, or rather driving around the corner. It is a Camaro. Anyway, driving around the corner, coming zipping down in front of the attraction, and lots of explosions and all kinds of Nest soldiers running around, and just a lot, a really, really great time. For those of you just listening to the audio version of this podcast, head to our YouTube channel, definitely, or go to InsideTheMagic.net to watch that opening, because it was a lot of fun. If you are a Transformers fan, you definitely don't want to miss that one. And it was a battle to get that shot, by the way. There were so many people there, just packed into a tight area, that I had to find my way to the front of all of it. And as Optimus Prime and Bumblebee came rolling out down the street, I was literally shoved from behind by the thrusts of people with cameras lunging forward to try to get their shot as well. So that was a fun time. So there it is. Anyway, really, really awesome to see that in person. Of course, that was all leading up to the actual Transformers ride itself, which is just absolutely a phenomenal ride. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm sure I'm speaking a bit here as a bit of a Transformers fanboy. It's one of my favorite properties from over the years. I've been watching the Transformers on TV since I was very, very young, to the the original G1 version of the Transformers, and something that I've been really, really looking forward to is riding this attraction. So that aside, trying to give my honest, objective opinion about the whole thing, it really is an excellent attraction. I rode it 3 times in a row while I was there, and it has an amazing immersive feel to it. It is mostly on 3D screens, so you would think, oh, how good could it possibly be if it's just a big 3D attraction? Well, if you've been on Spider-Man out here in Florida, you know how immersive that 3D can be, and this takes it to a huge new level. And I say huge because the screens are enormous. They're as tall as Transformers are supposed to be, 45 feet tall, and really wide, wrapping all around you. And it really feels like you are being immersed into this experience. The 3D does an amazing job at putting you inside the action. While I am a big fan of Transformers, as I said, I'm not terribly big fan of Michael Bay's films. There's a lot of offensive things, almost racist things in there, lots of immature humor, a lot of really dumb scenes, and none of that, fortunately, is in this attraction. They took only the best aspects of the Michael Bay films, the characters and the visuals, and just created a really excellent attraction that has a very loose story to it. The queue does set up the story that you're sort of being recruited into Nest, that kind of starts out calmly with some messages throughout the queue, telling you why you're there, and what's going on with Nest and the Autobots and all of that. And then you realize you're there just as Decepticons are attacking to steal the Allspark, much as it happened in that opening ceremony. And then as you move through, you sort of follow that story in helping Evac, as the character you're riding in, to rescue that Allspark. The first half of the queue is very fun, lots of that setting up the story. The second half, a little bit dull as you're approaching, because it's a very long, winding queue. It kind of reminds me of the latter parts of the Soarin' Over California queue, where it just kind of has these descending ramps as you're getting further and further into the attraction. The load area is very similar to Spider-Man out here in Florida. Evac ride vehicle, very, very similar looking. And even the ride starts out similar, but once you round the first corner, you see that this ride is not Spider-Man. It's not like any other attraction that's out there. The sound is incredible. The screens are incredible. And you know what? I should just stop talking about it, and I should take you on the Transformers The Ride 3D experience instead. I'll take you through the queue, and I'll take you on the ride itself. Of course, this being a 3D attraction, for those of you watching the video version of this show, you're not going to get anywhere near the full experience of being on this ride, because it's not huge and in front of you, and it's not in 3D, and you're not getting all the motion and everything, but it'll give you a good idea of what it's like. And better than that, it also has binaural audio throughout this entire recording, all the way through the queue, as well as on the ride itself. And I must say, this is one of the best binaural recordings I have taken in a very long time on the ride itself. As you're going through please be sure to wear headphones. I know I say this a lot, but really I want to emphasize this time around, wear headphones while listening or watching this recording, because the sound will truly envelop you into this experience of Transformers The Ride 3D. So I should mention that the ride is a bit longer, quite a bit longer than I thought it would be. I figured it would be 2 or 3 minutes and you're done, but it's actually longer than that, and it keeps going and going in a very good way, which I thought was impressive unto itself. So anyway, let's hop on back over to Universal Studios Hollywood as we walk through the queue and get on the ride. Again, wear your headphones to enjoy this fully for Transformers The Ride 3.
Who are the Autobots and how does Ness go about this mission? That's what this recruit orientation is all about. Autobot Ratchet will now continue your orientation.
Greetings, recruits. I am Ratchet, Autobot Medical Officer. Our Autobot and Decepticon conflict has raged for countless thousands of years. But we were not always at war. Long ago, we lived together peacefully on our home planet of Cybertron. But the freedom we knew came under threat from a faction who hungered only for power, who sought to turn brother against brother, the strong against the weak, a force of tyranny and fear. They called themselves the Decepticons. And those of us who chose to resist them became known as the Autobots. Cybertron, our home, was destroyed by this endless war, and now the battle has shifted here to Earth. Every last Autobot has made this solemn promise. We refuse to let the fate of our planet become the fate of your own. The Decepticons are here because they seek the Allspark, a source of pure and ancient power that could make them unstoppable. They will destroy Earth to get it, unless we are willing to stand in their way. That is the mission of Nest.
Because their victory will be Earth and your destruction. Remember that as you continue your training. I am IMI, Autobot Weapons and Combat Specialist. Don't give me any lip, and we just might get along. Our objective today is to begin whipping you into elite Nest combatants. This will not be easy because, and with all due respect, your human species is small, slow, weak, lacking bodily integrated weapon systems, and, militarily speaking, colossally mismatched against our Decepticon enemy. The Decons, on the other hand, are lean, mean, combat machines, hard-hearted, battle-tested, and masters of camouflage, ambush, and sneak attack. They do not play fair. They cannot even spell fair. You don't want them at your birthday party. That's what I'm trying to convey. Megatron, their leader, he is power-hungry, pure evil, and unequaled in battle except for Optimus Prime. He would like nothing more in life than to make all of humanity, that's you, his slaves. Starscream, the Decepticons' air commander and Megatron's second in command. A cowardly, crafty, self-serving adversary. Don't turn your back on Starscream unless you want to find something sharp in it. Devastator. A Constructicon Compiler that pulverizes anything in its path, sucking up bots like a deranged vacuum cleaner. If you ever get a visual on this one, it is probably already too late for you. Scorponok, a subterranean sneak attack specialist. That is his tale on the exam table. The rest of it is still out there, somewhere, waiting to strike. So, recruits, how do you defeat Decepticons like these? The answer, you do not. Ever. You will fail. Only we, the entire nest unit, operating in tactical coordination, will prevail. You would do well to remember that.
The Allspark at its secure and fortified location here at Nest.
With all due respect, you call this secure and fortified? Nest is crumbling, General. Your troops have failed their mission.
Roger, your frontline appraisal stalwart, but removing the Allspark from Nest is a high-risk scenario of last resort. If it makes you feel any better, I have already put evac on alert. He's ready to go if it comes to
Well,
that.
General, I can assure you.
Hey, General, it's me, Willie. They won't let me into the war room to see you, so I had to hack my way onto this frequency.
This better be critical, Wheelie.
Sir, come on, when is it not? Please. Okay, couple of things. I'm running low on the WD-40 and the mattress in my barracks is a little squishy.
Recruits, can you read me? This is Theodore Stallworth, National Security Advisor. On direct authority of the President, I advise you regarding your mission to the Allspark. Don't do it! Refuse! Stand down! Mutiny! Check it out! This is outrageous! Sending amateurs on a suicide mission!
So if anyone sees trouble,
Security breach. Level 2. Lockdown.
that's trouble, all right. Watch out! It's Rabbit. He's after the Allspark. On the catwalk. Behind you. Got it. Mission to go. Come on, let's get out of this city.
Autobots, run! Fight at Megatron! Keep going, Decepticons! Destroy them!
Hey, recruits, maybe a little warning for me next time?
Fools! You can't escape Megatron!
Reverse thrusters, full power. How do we find a way out of here? Wrong way. We're trapped.
Your planet belongs to me!
Take cover. Escape route. Wait, something's wrong. It's Devastator. Where's Vortex? We need cover. Hold on. Sideswipe.
Rookie, they trusting you with this mission?
We got it. Stun gun. My gun's jammed. Get it. It's him again. Activate battle shields. We're hit. Hold on. Brace yourself.
do? Never. No more running, recruits. He wants the Allspark. He can have it. Oh no.
Evac, report in. Your bravery saved the planet. Well done, freedom fighters.
Way to improvise, team. Thanks for meeting the challenge. Let's head on back to base. You can ride with Evac anytime.
And there it is, Transformers The Ride 3D, a phenomenal attraction that those of you just listening or those of you watching the video version of this show, I can assure you that everything you just saw doesn't nearly do the attraction justice. The sheer size and the scale and the immersiveness of the 3D is something that absolutely has to be seen in person to fully understand and appreciate. It is mostly, as I said, in 3D. There is one physical transformer, practical effect there at the end, along with some wind and heat and water and all that kind of effects and all of the settings. But the majority of the attraction is in front of you on the screens. It's not animatronics, and but it feels very, very real. There's a shot of Optimus Prime coming at you as a truck and transforming and sliding towards you as he transforms and then standing up to his full height, and you are looking up at him as if he's towering over you 40 feet tall. And just for a Transformers fan, that's the coolest thing ever. And then, of course, as you heard, as you're going through, characters will say their own names, or Evac will mention who they are, and the queue sets up a lot of the characters as well. So even if you have no idea who these Transformers are, you can still get an idea for who the characters are and what you're experiencing and what is going on. Now, of course, a lot of people have said, I've said, it's a very similar attraction to the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man out here, but in my opinion, this really blows away the Spider-Man experience. I would love to see Transformers come to Florida. It can't really coexist with Spider-Man. They are very, very similar attractions, and I can't imagine them both being out here in Orlando because they're just too similar. Perhaps maybe when the Marvel deal with Universal disappears someday, maybe Transformers will move in there, since it's already a very, very similar attraction, and they could just swap it out and make the renovations that would be required to accommodate the huge screens as Transformers. I don't know. We'll wait and see. That's just pure speculation. But regardless, I did want to find out more, of course, about the making of this Transformers attraction, and there was no better time or place to do that than right there at the grand opening of the ride. I wanted to know the why and the when and the how. So before the whole event began, I had a few minutes to chat with Chick Russell, who is the show producer of Transformers The Ride 3D, and he previously worked on Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. He was the visual effects producer for that attraction. Really, obviously, really, really popular attraction. He also has done some work with Disney as well in the past. He worked on Tokyo Disney Sea. He wrote the concept scripts for all of the rides, shows, and attractions at that park, as well as descriptions for shops and restaurants and the hotel there as well. So very, very long history of projects amongst many other things. And I had plenty of questions to ask him about the newest in his long line of theme park excitement. Of course, that was Transformers The Ride 3D. It is Transformers The Ride 3D. And so here is my chat with Chick Russell, show producer for Transformers The Ride 3D. Take me back to the beginning of Transformers The Ride. How did the idea come about? Why Transformers? Where did the idea really originate?
Well, the idea for Transformers as a ride started with Steven Spielberg and Universal Studios Hollywood, where the idea came up, can we turn these great movies into an exciting ride? And so we started thinking about it, and we decided, yes, we think we can do it. So we got together with Michael Bay and Industrial Light and Magic and started coming up with a lot of ideas, and you'll get a chance to find out how it all came out in just a minute.
How long ago was that when you first sat down and really said, okay, we're doing this?
It was about 4 years ago. Wow. Yeah, so we've been working on it ever since. It's a lengthy process because ILM, of course, has to create all the images. Plus, we have to build the building. The whole building was built, and so it takes that much time to get it all built.
So, Transformers the Ride, I'm from Orlando, and I'm familiar with the Spider-Man attraction out there. Fantastic ride at Universal Orlando, Islands of Adventure. Seems there are some similarities between this attraction and that. Can you tell me how you've sort of plussed that Spider-Man experience with Transformers?
Well, I can tell you the ride system for Transformers the Ride 3D is the most awesome ride vehicle there is, because it's a flight simulator on a track, which enables us to go right up to a huge screen, 3D images, and have the Autobots and Decepticons actually jump right on the hood of our car, shake the vehicle, shoot warheads at us, and actually drag us through the sky. So it's an incredible ride system.
Spider-Man out there recently got an HD upgrade. Is this using a lot of that same technology, the 4K projections and, you know, amazing sound and all of that?
Yeah. What Transformers the Ride 3D has is a brand new 3D technology that gives us much sharper images, much cleaner images, and it also is a kind of a revolutionary ride system, again, that can actually give you the impression as if you've actually entered the Transformers world, and so it's an experience you can't get anywhere else.
Well, certainly, this is the only Transformers ride in the world. Why do you think it's taken so many years for, you know, Transformers has been a franchise since the early 80s to finally make it into a theme park?
I think to turn the Transformers movies into an exciting universal ride, you had to wait for the technology to be developed to actually do it. A regular ride system just wouldn't deliver the excitement that the Transformers offers. But once we have our unique, proprietary flight simulator ride system that actually gives the illusion of actually entering into the Transformers world, we knew right away with the Transformers stories, working with Michael Bay, working with Industrial Light and Magic, and having these ride systems, we knew we could deliver Transformers at their true scale, some of which are almost 40 feet tall. So we're pretty excited about that.
Now, there have been 3 Michael Bay directed Transformers movies. Is this attraction, the story of it, sort of following those, or is it mixed into that whole universe?
Well, we were very lucky with this ride. We were given a clean slate for the story. We knew we wanted to use the Autobots and Decepticons, obviously, but we came up with a whole new story for this attraction and created a brand new Autobot for this named Evac. And Evac's mission is to actually take the Allspark out of the nest when it comes under attack, and we actually ride aboard Evac. It's the first time I know of in any ride we actually get to climb aboard a robot and actually be taken on an incredible adventure.
I know, I just watched the 3rd Transformers movie the other day, and there were scenes where Shia LaBeouf was riding around in Bumblebee, and there was sort of that you know, he's riding in him, and then Bumblebee transforms, and he was flying through the air, and then he gets back in the car. Are there sort of that notion of that you're actually riding in a Transformer for this attraction?
It's not just a notion, it's the reality. You actually feel as if you've climbed aboard an Autobot, a huge robot, and you're driving through the streets at 60 miles an hour with the Decepticons chasing you. Believe me, it's very real.
And what is your personal favorite aspect of working on this the last 4 years? Do you have any sort of connection to any of the characters or any of the moments in the ride that you personally enjoy?
I think one of the great moments in this attraction is when Megatron actually shoots you with his ion cannon, and the warhead in 3D comes right at your face. And believe me, you actually duck. It feels so real. And on top of that, we added some special effects heat just as it passes over your head. So it feels very dimensional, very real when all this is happening to you.
And for fans who have been, or rather people who have been fans of Transformers for many years, are there sort of nods to the Transformers of old in there? Will you be able to relate to sort of the G1 80s Transformers?
Yeah, I challenge all your Transformers fans to find the yellow Volkswagen Bug toward the end of the ride, and for those of you who are Transformers fans, you'll know what the VW Bug means. It's a little bit hidden toward the end, but if you really look around and are really vigilant, I think you'll be able to find it.
There we go. Chick Russell, show producer on Transformers The Ride 3D, but he's not the only one I had a chance to talk to about the making of the attraction on the red carpet. I also spoke to Jeff White from Industrial Light and Magic. He was the visual effects supervisor for Transformers The Ride 3D and wanted to know more about what it was like translating the Transformers world from the big movie screen to the even bigger ride screen. Tell me about the creation of the visuals for Transformers: The Ride versus creating them for the big screen in Hollywood.
Sure. It was a really different process for us. We wanted to bring everything that people are used to as far as the Transformers experience and the quality of the imagery that we put into the movies, but the ride was a real opportunity as far as the size of the screens, being able to see the Transformers at life size in 3D, so I think it was a real opportunity for us to kind of bring really photoreal imagery to a ride experience like this.
Theme park attractions of the past, a lot of animatronic figures. Obviously now there's a lot of digital imagery. Yeah. What do you think about that transition now to 3D imagery? Are you a fan of 3D?
I am, and I think it works really well for a ride like this, where we have scenes where we play the 3D very much out in front of the screen, which is something that's harder to do in a movie theater because people sit so far away. So all of a sudden, you're sitting in the ride and you're looking up at a life-size Optimus in 3D out over the audience, and it's a really amazing experience.
Yeah, a little bit cut off there at the end. Sorry about that, but that was indeed Jeff White from Industrial Light and Magic. And so that's about it for Transformers: The Ride 3D, a phenomenal attraction. You heard both of them mention that their favorite moments, the most impressive 3D moment from the attraction for both of them was that moment when Megatron fires off a warhead directly at the ride vehicle and the passengers and the guests, and I would tend to agree that was definitely an incredibly impressive 3D moment with the giant screen, and not only are you being drawing in to the screen, into the environment, into the experience, but also items coming out and reaching toward you and coming close to your face. A really phenomenal job with all of that 3D. One more item worth mentioning here for Transformers, of course, like any good theme park attraction, there's a gift shop. And if you're a Transformers fan, you will find plenty that you want to purchase in this gift shop. I only walked out with an EVAC t-shirt, exclusive to the ride, of course, as well as a little decal for my car. EVAC figures were not there yet on this preview day, the 24th. They were going to show up on the 25th, unfortunately, so I missed that by a day, but I put my name on a mailing list. But the store is just filled with plenty of Transformers items, stuff you can get online and in stores, as well as a lot of exclusive items to the store there as well. So if you're a Transformers collector like I am, be prepared to spend your money there. So Transformers: The Ride 3D officially open now at Universal Studios Hollywood. I really can't say enough good things about it. I think Universal has a big winner on their hands. If you're a Transformers fan, you must rush out and see this attraction. If you're not a Transformers fan, go ahead and see it anyway, because it is really wonderful.
Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic, listener feedback.
And we're an hour and a half into the show, but I'll go ahead and throw some listener feedback in here anyway, just because I have a few quick emails, and then we'll be done with this. So let's jump right into it. First up, in response to, I think, last week's tip for today about Disney Karma, John from Ohio writes in and says, in response to the email the other week about Disney Karma, it definitely exists. I'm glad I finally have a name for it. Around 2 years ago, my 4-year-old daughter didn't want to leave her Mickey balloon. Yes, the expensive double balloon. So we found another young girl checking into the Contemporary as we were leaving, and my daughter absolutely loved giving that balloon to that girl so she could enjoy it. Then on our recent trip, on the first day, as soon as we entered the Magic Kingdom, a little girl approached my daughter and offered her the same balloon, since she also had to leave it and couldn't take it with her. My daughter was so excited, and she remembered performing the same act a couple of years earlier. Seeing her face was definitely one of those magic moments. Disney Karma had struck again. John, that is an excellent story, and it is very true. Do a nice thing in a Disney park, and it'll come back in some way in the form of Disney Karma. Anthony writes in and says, we are planning to stay in California June 15th through the 20th. I've got the Disneyland hotel booked for 3 days. We'll be touring the Disneyland parks, but I would like another area hotel. That would be easier on the wallet for the rest of the stay. Do you have any suggestions? Well, Anthony, as I mentioned earlier in this show, this was one of a number of emails that I've gotten in recent weeks about less expensive hotel options around Disneyland. So the Red Lion Hotel, as I mentioned earlier, I stayed there for a couple of nights this week and definitely enjoyed my stay there. That would be my a suggestion for now. I previously have stayed at the Annabella, which is over by the convention center, a little bit further away. I think I liked the Red Lion better than that. And then, of course, there's a Howard Johnson, which I've stayed at on Harbor Boulevard. Again, I liked the Red Lion better than that as well. So that's my current suggestion. Next up, an email from Oscar, who writes, let me start off by saying I truly enjoy your show. I've only recently discovered Inside the Magic, and since stumbling upon ITM, I have watched or listened to all your weekly shows. Wow. Anyway, now to the meaty part. Tron Uprising. I saw the first episode and was very happy with what I saw. The tone/vibe of the Uprising music was on point with what Daft Punk had inspired in Tron Legacy. I was glad to see the art/graphics did not look like CGI, like the new Transformers cartoons. It's good to see cartoons looking like cartoons. It's too early to judge the series, but I am excited to see the development and how the timeline will be revealed on the grid. Disney strikes again for making me feel like a kid again. I'm 22, became a huge Tron fan after Legacy, and have seen the original Tron many times since then. Oscar, glad you also enjoyed Tron Uprising. I think the first episode, the Beck's beginning episode, is definitely a really good start to the series, and we'll see how well the actual series progresses and see if it's just as good. And now I have another email from somebody else. Well, could be the same person. I don't know. It's also Oscar. Could be the same Oscar. Could be a different Oscar. Not sure. So this Oscar writes, what do you think opening day of Cars Land will be like? I'm planning on being there for opening day. I'm not sure if they're going to allow camping out. So just in case I'm heading down on the 14th, I've tried searching for information, but all I get are articles about Cars Land, the expansion. If you hear anything, could you please let me know? I'm trying to plan out in advance. Oscar, very, very good question. I know there are people already planning on camping out, but I don't know what Disney's details are as far as where, when, how they're going to let people line up in advance. It's definitely going to be a crazy day at the Disneyland Resort. They're anticipating an absolutely packed park. Lines will be very, very long. Of course, on the 14th, the entirety of Disney California Adventure is going to be closed for Media Day, and so you won't be able to get into that park. And then in the morning of the 15th, the park's going to open as normal, but just prior to park opening, they're having the the wrapping up of the press event is going to be that morning with a rededication ceremony for the park. That's going to happen, I think, at 8 a.m., so it's before the park opens, and they're going to want to tear all that down and be ready so that when the park does open, they're ready to just let all of the guests just come pouring in. In fact, they may even let guests come in as the finale of that ceremony. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the final shot of everybody excited and rushing into the park to see Buena Vista Street and Cars Land, etc. So to answer your question directly, I unfortunately I can't exactly know about camping out just yet, but I will definitely pass that information along as soon as I find out if or when Disney will be letting anybody line up for the 15th. As far as the day itself, expect a massive, massive crowd. Next, an email from Maria, who writes, last year the American Idol winner was at Hollywood Studios on Memorial Day. Do you know if Philip Phillips, this year's winner, is coming? And Maria, I reached out to Disney with the same question that you had this week, and no, the winner of American Idol for the first time since the attraction opened is not going to be at Hollywood Studios this time around. I understand that Philip Phillips has some sort of health issue that he has to take care of. There's also some scheduling issues. It may or may not be related to that. So because of all of that, there are no plans to bring him to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Next up, an email from Amy from London, who writes, I am a popular music performance student in London, and I'm currently writing a dissertation titled The Walt Disney Company, Influencing Popular Culture Since 1928. I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to ask yourself and listeners of the podcast about your opinions, experiences, and memories of all things Disney, particularly relating to music. Is there a Disney song that changed your life or inspired you to do something different? Perhaps Fantasia inspired you to learn more classical music or begin playing an instrument. Maybe your first album was a Disney soundtrack, or maybe you met that special someone at a Disney event, or you had a Disney song at your wedding. Any thoughts or experiences would be helpful. Amy, really, really good question. Sounds like a fascinating bit of research. I can lend my own thoughts in here. One of the very first CDs that I ever purchased was the Aladdin soundtrack. I loved Aladdin when that movie came out. I definitely saw it many, many, many times and loved the soundtrack, listened to it endlessly, and I was in elementary school at the time, so that definitely has sort of influenced a large part of my Disney fandom, if you will. In addition, Main Street Electrical Parade, the music of that parade is like ingrained in my psyche. I remember it from being very, very young at the Magic Kingdom, hearing that and seeing the twinkling lights, and there's always sort of a special place in my brain for that, the Baroque hoedown, song that plays during that parade. So those are kind of the ones that stick out to me as those musical moments from Disney history. But I would love to hear from listeners and viewers about what your thoughts are in the world of Disney music and how it has affected your life as well. Please feel free to email me, ricky@insidethemagic.net, and I'll gladly pass along your messages to Amy to include in her dissertation as well. Just a few more emails here. Aaron writes in and says, Disney Pixar's Brave is playing in the Seattle International Film Festival, SIFF.net, on June 10th. I hope Disney fans in the Seattle area will be able to attend. Anyone can attend, and it's before the world premiere at the Dolby Theater in L.A. Aaron, great information there. So anybody in Seattle, go check it out. June 10th, Brave. Dana from New Jersey writes, my family and I usually take vacations to Disney in late August. However, rather than go this year, we're thinking of going in early to mid-January, hopefully to see more of the completed new Fantasyland. We've never done this before, and I have a couple of questions. How are crowd levels, weather, etc.? Are the holiday decorations still up? And are there any other holiday activities still available at this time? Well, early to mid-January, that's a pretty broad range. If you're talking about really, really early January, as in the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, yes, you'll see a little bit of carryover for the holiday decorations and even a few activities. They continue for a couple of days past New Year's, but they do begin to come down at that area. So you're going to see the holidays sort of disappear while you're here. As far as crowd levels, once New Year's comes and goes and that sort of week is done and the holiday has passed, you'll see the crowd levels drop tremendously. It's one of the best times of year to come. So if you come in mid-January, definitely a great time. The weather, however, is very unpredictable. Sometimes it's warm, sometimes it's really, really cold. Lately, it's been rather warm here in Florida, but occasionally we do get a cold snap. So I would just watch the weather in the days leading up to your trip so you can prepare accordingly. Just two more emails here. Peter writes, my family will be in Walt Disney World the last week of June, 24th through 30th. Two questions. Will Big Thunder Mountain be reopened? And listening to the podcast a few weeks ago, Agent P moving into Epcot at the end of June. Will it debut that week? Peter, I said earlier, Big Thunder Mountain, it's open. It's good. Actually, officially tomorrow. But yes, that will definitely, barring any unforeseen, issues with it, that'll be open when you get here. And by the end of June, Agent P should be up and running as well. I think it's actually mid-June is when that's going to debut. So you should be able to experience both. And finally, email from Adam from Massachusetts, who writes, love the show and have listened quite regularly for quite some time now. I don't believe you've addressed on the show one very obvious question that I can't be the only one that has wondered. Why aren't you a cast member? I realize you've been an honorary one when you got the Haunted Mansion dream job, which must have been a lifelong dream. You live in Florida and spend so much time there, the connection would be quite obvious to the average listener. Hope you haven't addressed this on an episode where I just happened to have missed it. Adam, I do get asked this question quite a bit. Usually it's in person when people see me and stop me in the parks and say, why don't you just work here? You're here all the time. And the reason is I enjoy doing what I do now. I like being outside the official hand of the mouse, where I wouldn't be able to nearly do what I do in covering all these events and attending everything and really honestly sharing my opinions about everything. Once you're a cast member, you're sort of in that Disney family, and you have to adhere to their rules and their, everything that that it embodies as a cast member. And yes, it would be fun, and probably someday I will, eventually, maybe decades from now, and maybe after retirement or something, I don't know. I'll eventually probably work, in some capacity for Disney, just for fun. But for now, I'm very happy with where I am, doing what I do here on Inside the Magic, and of course my day job, running Lanyard Lab, and it's a good place to be, sort of getting the best of the theme parks without having to worry about being confined by the rules as to what it takes to actually be employed by the mouse. So there it is, and that's it for listener feedback this week. And here's where we end show 373 of Inside the Magic, a rather long show, but that's because there was a lot to talk about. I only spent 2 days, less than 2 days out at Disneyland, but packed into that time was a tremendous amount of excitement and fun. Of course, I talked plenty about Transformers The Ride 3D at Universal Studios Hollywood, which I highly, highly, highly recommend going to. Really, really fun attraction. I do hope it comes out to Orlando someday, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. Instead, Universal Hollywood, I'm sure, will hold on to that attraction as the only one in the United States. It's open in Singapore if you happen to be going there, but it's a great ride. But in addition to all the great new stuff, sort of a preview of what's to come in just a couple of weeks at Disneyland, June 15th, the big opening of Cars Land, Buena Vista Street, etc. Really, really looking forward to that, and so much more. Lots going on. Summers are always very, very busy leading into summer, and I'm really looking forward to all of it. Coming up next week, we'll be talking about the opening of Disney's Art of Animation Resort. I've got already done some great interviews that I want to share about that, some thoughts on the hotel itself, and it's a good addition to Walt Disney World. Snow White is closing this week. As one more reminder, May 31st, last day, so if you're in the area, make sure you go out and ride Snow White's Scary Adventures one more time before it does disappear. I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. Also, check out themeparkconnection.com for rare and unique Disney collectibles. Of course, they have a physical store as well as an online store, so visit the website to check all of that out. And visit us over at lanyardlab.com to see all the different styles and custom lanyard options that we have available. You can request a price quote today to receive a free digital preview of your lanyard design. And our website, InsideTheMagic.net, it is your source for Disney and theme park news. Not only do we have each week's show notes for this podcast, including links and background music listings, but all of our podcast videos, news, articles, photo galleries, and links to find us on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, and to keep up with all the latest Disney and theme park fun between episodes of this show. So check it out, InsideTheMagic.net. I forget my own website sometimes. Anyway, that'll do it for this week. Thanks to all of you for listening and for watching each and every week. And have a magical week. Goodbye.
Tomorrow, just a dream away.